Let's go. Things just got a little bit better here on the podcast. An Olympic trial runner joins us to talk about an amazing weekend and his amazing journey. At the peak of his career, he joins us celebrating his marathon. 2 hours and 16 minutes. You can stat check me later, but that's around a 12-minute pace. Y'all, that's incredible. This is the definition of hard work pays off and that anything is possible. Cornell College alumni, Rams, hell yeah, Aaron Davidson. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, man.
First off, we got to talk about it. Give me your thoughts, dude. Like, you finished. The video of you finishing is electric. Go check it out. Go follow him on socials. We'll repost that. But give me your first initial thoughts.
This race over the weekend at the Grandma's Marathon in Minnesota was, it was just awesome. It was a lot of work just all paying off, in one moment. There was like a lot of long time goals really coming to fruition. During college, I had, kind of finally started to think, hey, maybe I could run professionally one day and like look at elite levels. And I had my marathon debut a few months ago, and that was, good, but it was good run, but not elite. And that whole time in this one, like I moved to Flagstaff a few months ago and, just been working. And to have this run, kind of have it all come together in one moment, was just absolutely awesome. Got to show my fitness, really like prove that I belong, and the best part is I know I've got more in the tank. Like I know I could, even on current fitness, go faster. So, that's just, I'm so stoked, finally got that Olympic trials qualifier. And yeah, like you said, that moment, when I hit the line, I had been kind of digesting it because I knew for the last like 2 or 3 miles of the race that I had it in the bag. Like I knew for those
That's
last few minutes that I had it. And yeah, when I hit that line, I was really stoked. But the funny thing though, with when I hit the line, it was actually kind of bittersweet because a friend of mine, I had an over under bet on 216 flat and
oh,
I missed it by 13 seconds.
oh.
In a 26-mile race, I missed it by 13 seconds. And I was just like, simultaneously, it was like, hell yeah. And just, God damn it. Like, it's like that much.
No, just like such an incredible feat. You talk about like, oh, 2 hours, like you break in two, and then like you're 16 minutes away. That's super close. And was the math right? I was trying to look back. 5:12, that was the average mile pace.
512, 511 point something, like roughly. It's
Dude, that's insane. Because like right after COVID hit, like I was trying to run a fast mile. You know me, I'm a sprinter. I'm not made for distance. I'm over here trying to run a mile. I'm sprinting my tail off. I get a 5:09, and you're over here averaging that for 26 miles. Like that's insanity. And it really goes to show like your training. Because what I remember you in college is running and running and training and running, and like you really just put your head down and did it. So with that training being said, you talked about your moment, how great it was crossing the line and like the fun, but like how hard is the training?
um so that's actually the thing is it's not like no part of it is actually super like hard, like really high intensity. It's all just volume. It's doing like
Okay.
so much of it. I'm doing my peak weeks, I'm getting in like over 15 hours of running. Um and none of it, like I said, ideal marathon training, you don't have to redline very much at all. Like very rarely do I have a workout where I actually have to like dig deep into the pain wells. But it gets really tired. Like there are days where I total like 23, 24 miles of volume on the day across like multiple runs. And I didn't have, like I said, I don't have to like dig deep at any point. But by the end of it, I'm just so tired. And um, yeah, dude, dinner at the is like the best part of the day.
All those calories you'd be burning, I bet you're probably like, yes, feed me, like all that
hmm
pasta, big old whatever it is. Um, that's intense, and like that actually is really interesting Because I think you're redlining. I'm thinking that you're going out like getting this and that, but like, do you just put a lot of, I wouldn't say mediocre because it's not mediocre work, but like effort wise, like a whole lot of medium is gonna be hard without actually like hurting your body, and that's like with training with like for lifting and whatnot. Like that's totally true. So I thought that was like really interesting hearing that from you. So like, give me like your average week then of, like say 2 months ago. I don't even know like marathon training, but like give me something about that. Like what was an average week like?
Yeah, so my peak training, like kind of highest output training, was probably about a month and a half ago. Um, because then I tapered for 2 weeks right before race
Okay,
day, and then the last couple weeks before that were still hard training, but I had lowered the volume a little bit so that I could, focus on like some faster workouts, like kind of the
gotcha.
final sharpening. Um, but so yeah, like the highest mileage week I hit in this training cycle was 124 miles. Um, and I've actually run higher mileage before, but I was trying a little experiment in this training block, which was doing 6 to 8 weeks. So in past training cycles, I've taken a day off every like 3 or 4 weeks, roughly. This one, I was taking a full off day every week, but I was packing all my mileage into 6 days. So that 124, yeah, averaging over 20 miles a day for 6 days.
It's
And
insane.
uh, and so yeah, it would generally, alternate easy days with harder days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday were generally easy. Uh, Tuesday and Thursday were harder workouts, and then Saturday was long run day. And long run day, I kind of alternated it. Some weeks there would be just a long run where I was going for pure volume, but going at pretty relaxed effort the whole time. And then some days there were runs where I was going like hard effort for a long range. Um, I think the hardest long runs, there was one where I ran 20 at like 540 something average. There was another one where it was 3 mile warm up, then 4 by 5K with 1 mile cruise in between, and then 3 mile cool down. So that was 22 miles. The middle 15 of it, which was the workout amount, was like 530 mile average, about, I think. So, um, and that also was at 7,000 feet up in the air. So makes the paces a lot harder.
That I mean, this is all the things like professional, and that's what something you're pursuing from what I've been hearing is you got to be crazy. You got to have that ounce, a little bit of insane in your body, and like just hearing that, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get tired after 8 200s, right? I'm dying, I'm a sprinter, but like hearing like 5K, then a cruise mile, then this and that, and all that hard work really prevails you crossing that finish line. I mean, you're saying you're averaging, like that 5:30 to that 5:45 through your workouts. And then on race day, compete day, you're like, all right, let's go get this. And you go 5:11, like pace, like that's 20 seconds for 26 times in a row. Like, that's insane. I just want to say, like, kudos to you, dude. That's awesome. Like, that gets me excited and whatnot. So, what do you do any kind of like fartlek runs, or give us another one of your workouts just to kind of you shared the 5K repeat 5Ks, but give me another one of your workouts.
Yeah, so the Tuesday and Thursday workouts, or Tuesday and Friday sometimes, just depending on which week in the training block it
Yeah.
is. Those will usually be a lot of the time fartleks, like you just mentioned. My favorite ones for that are one called the Kenyan fartlek because it's really popular in Kenyan training groups. It's reps of 3 minutes on, 1 minute off.
Okay.
Um, where the 1 minute's like a jog, like you are going really, really easy, trying to recover while still continuing to move. And the 3 minutes it can range depending on the workout, but it's generally about threshold effort. And threshold workouts are here's what's crazy is during college, I actually thought threshold meant like 10K race effort, which is like pretty hard getting after it. And I only found out towards the end of college that threshold actually refers to a essentially 60-minute race effort, which is still hard. Like, you're getting after it, but it's much more relaxed. You can get a lot of volume in before it starts to get difficult. And um, specifically, it refers to the threshold refers to a blood lactate accumulation level that can be sustained, or blood lactate accumulation rate that can be sustained for about 60 minutes.
Okay.
And that intensity is like, it's good, but it's moderate. It's nothing like insane. You're not going after like mile race effort or 5K race effort, and nothing close.
Gotcha.
Um, so when I started doing workouts at that effort level, I was able to crank up the volume of them a lot. So whereas I used to do with that fartlek I mentioned, doing like 8 by 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, now I can do like 11, 12, 13 by that. Um, and because I'm taking the intensity a little bit easier and really just focusing on that quality volume. And a thing a lot of people do, and I've started doing it consistently, is double threshold days. So
Like you were saying,
doing
two a days.
two workouts in one day, not just two easy runs, and not like a workout and an easy run,
Yeah.
but two complete like individual workouts. I mean, I'm sure you remember some of your,
Oh, the two a days.
beast
Yeah.
mode track workouts,
Yep.
especially back when you were doing like more mid-distance stuff
Yep.
back in your
Yeah.
day. And yeah, I think like two of those entire track workouts in a day, up to twice a week. Like that's
No, I mean, obviously the hard work, and it's really nice to see that hard work and all that good training actually pay off. Like, boom, I hit it. Here we go. And you say you got more left in the tank because of your training. And that's why people do it. That's why they want to train. They go through the gruesome, they go through the thresholds, this and that, and really push in their body so that they can prevail to get the end product. And running, track and field, that's what a lot of it is, right? You're laying down on the ground. I know after a lot of my sprint workouts, I'm like, oh, I hate this. But then after I finish 400, I'm like, okay, like I feel good. Like I still can do more. And I mean, we're talking, apples to oranges here compared to like marathon training and whatnot. And I'm taking notes right now because I'm trying to dabble in running. I've run a half, which I think you sent me some stuff about it back. I think it was almost a year ago when I was somewhat training, but then I stopped training because of football and life got busy. But like hearing the just getting the volume part. So let's say, sorry, I'm going off my script here. Like if I was to run, right, I shouldn't be trying to push super, super hard, but more in reality, like, hey, get the miles in. Am I kind of like speaking it for like a sprinter sense of
yeah,
things?
yeah,
Gotcha.
no, absolutely. And like I said, the workouts, right? They're still tough. Like you're still getting after it, but they're not like red line tough. You're not digging deep into the pain wells.
So I shouldn't be
My
laying on
training
the ground
partner,
after I run my, my miles, like, can't breathe.
right? Well, like these threshold workouts, I've heard people say if you're sore the day after a threshold workout, you probably went too hard. Like, you might be tired and like really like, need to keep like the pace the next day really relaxed and easy, like you're trying to recover. But, essentially muscles shouldn't be sore. And joints especially shouldn't be sore. If your joints are sore, then you're overworking yourself. That's
I mean, anyone who is marathon training, doing this or that, like take notes. I sure am. It's just crazy because like I obviously stopped my training and whatnot, like didn't really prevail, like obviously nowhere close to like what you were doing. And like I hit like a 159. And like I was happy with that with the training that I did. Like I went out strong, but like I never went above 10 miles. And like after that 10th mile, I was like, okay, this sucks. Like I'm dying. I can't even kick. Like that's what I'm known for is my kick. And it was tough, but if I would have done your volume, like just get used to those feet and the pounding of 8 miles, 10 miles, 13, and for you, 20 miles. Like you're consistent with it. Your body's used to it, right? And if your body's
Mhm.
used to something, you're going to be more likely to do better at it when the adrenaline's pumping, when it's race day, the crowd, all the people. I mean, now that you say it, it makes so much sense. Like you like unclouded and the sun came out. So that's awesome. That is super cool. Um, so I
Well,
mean,
so what's also kind of wild about that is a lot of at the elite level, a lot of training mindsets have changed over the last few years
okay.
because people have discovered that even at like 800 and 1500, you don't need to redline nearly as much as people previously thought you did. If you just, do like that same threshold work that I'm talking about, and then depending on your specialty, do like one or two like speedier, like harder workouts a week, to tune up. And then the last couple weeks before a big race, do like some much more specific, like tailored to that event work. Um, yeah, it's kind of like I said, training mindsets have really shifted because, yeah, when you were in college, people thought that, for 1500 and 5K, you had to redline like all the time to achieve your best. And yeah, it turns out that just isn't true. That's
And I follow a program, really like it. I don't know if you know it, but it's called Feed the Cats, and by Tony Hollard. Tony Hollard. I might got the name wrong there, so I might get butchered on the comments here. But what his thing is like you do well when you're healthy, right? A 80% trained is better than an 80% healthy. You know what I'm saying? So really toning it back, like working on form for this is more for like the sprinter work and doing your workouts like one hard workout a week. When I was in like high school, like and that's how kind of I, am as a person. Like if I'm not going hard and sweating and dying, redlining, like I don't feel like I'm getting much out of it. But my body was a little bit more beat up, especially towards the end of the year. And obviously take the 2 weeks off and this and what. And like I powered through, but a lot of people, that's how injuries happen. And that's how they lose love for it. But if you do one hard workout or you kind of set it up, it's like your Super Bowl of the week, like sweet, here we go. I'm going to get after my, this long run or this mile, certain amount, however you split it up, you perform better, right? Your body can relax, your body can recover because the body can do a whole lot. But if you push it too far, then injuries and the joints, which you were talking about earlier. So I kind of like reference those two things together, which is actually super neat.
which I love too that what you kind of tied in there, the mental thing about like losing love for it too. I know a lot of people who run at the elite level, like, OTQ, going after like national podium spots and whatnot, who are constantly like fighting demons on it. Like they're in and out, they're back and forth on it. And something that a lot of these guys I've met who do that, uh, something I've noticed they all seem to have in common is they go a lot faster than me on easy days.
Ah,
You know, workouts, yeah, they get after it, run beast mode workouts. But yeah, easy run days, they're out there running like 640, 630 pace. And on the same exact runs in my training, so I'm out there cruising like 720, 730, 740, like much, slower mile pace. And yeah, like I can, run 630, 640 on easy days, but that like, an easy day is an easy day. You don't need to be like pushing to the upper range of what you can do on an easy day. It's
yeah. Any work you put in is good work. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're doing something, you're doing good. I know that sounds really
Mhm.
idiotic. Where people's like, "What?" Doesn't make sense. But I've had plenty of people on that said, that similar thing. Like, there's gonna be some days where your body isn't feeling it. Like, tone it back because whatever you put in
Mhm.
is going to benefit you, right? You're not gonna go on a run, and even like if it is slower than that, say it is an 8, like you still got those miles in, right? Your
Mhm.
body still got it, and it was more probably gonna be easier to recover. This is all awesome talk about marathon training, about training in general for running. But let's focus the conversation more about you because I want to highlight like the great things you've done. What is the goal for you as a runner? Is it to, I mean, obviously you're at the trials, like, hey, mess around, qualify for the Olympics, but what is your initial goal as you pursue running, as you grow as a runner?
So, um, kind of breaking down goals a bit, as one way that Jerry, my
Yeah.
college coach, put it that I really appreciated, he liked to differentiate between outcome goals and process goals. And, yeah, I mean, they're fairly self-explanatory. Outcome is what do you want to, do at this point. But then the process goal, right, is, it's more than just like what is the process? It's like what is the like ideal process, what kind of process do you want to achieve and have. And um honestly, as cliche as it sounds, the biggest process goal for anyone at any level of athletic uh endeavor is have a good time, enjoy it. They say enjoy the people say like trust the process, enjoy the process. And so like it sounds cliche, but I'd say, I mean, that is the biggest goal. Like I've known elite runners who I swear to God, I think they hate themselves a little bit. Like it's, but and everybody does have, their own kind of personal attitude towards sports. If people want to, run on hate, then, if that's how somebody actually genuinely thrives and succeeds, then by all means. But, for, I think for most people, just not only enjoying it, but finding like genuine fulfillment out of it. Like not just enjoying that moment, but having something that really like, completes you. And that's been something I've discovered a lot with my running because I've mentally had a lot of ups and downs with my running career. And the biggest one was my junior year of college. I had a some other stuff in my life go kind of to shit,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. And I had a downward spiral, like depressive episode. It was awful. And I had been training at a pretty high level, and I like kept trying to push to keep training at that level when I didn't have the mental energy for it. And during that time, I destroyed my love of running, and I was not enjoying it. I wasn't liking it. I didn't like myself at the time, but it's um and months later when I kind of built everything back and really built up my training again and reapproached everything, things clicked in there somewhere. I realized I'm like, I guess I kind of remembered why I run, why I enjoy it. I was just like, you know what, the world of running, of distance running, like this is something I genuinely love. I get a lot out of. It makes me happy. It makes me happy with myself. And, I'm like, you know what, this is at that point, I didn't even know if I wanted to continue like, competing and training at the elite level. But I was thinking like I want to stay in this world one way or another if I'm coaching or working as a shoe designer for a brand or doing like administrative work for like some elite running clubs or something, like whatever. I just knew I wanted to stay in it.
You touched on those things and you totally took the question away. I never thought you would, but I totally agree with it. You hear the cliche things, embrace the suck, right? Find the joy in the suck. And, Mickey,
Mhm.
what do you mean? Like training's gonna suck. Running is not fun. To some people, like it is. But like to the average Joe, like running is not fun. Like that's the worst part. That's the the penalty, the consequence in sports, right, is running. I think the cross country team that I teach, the school that I teach at, they're like, my sport is your consequence. I'm like, that's funny. That's a funny t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's
That
a
one's
cross country,
classic.
right? It's a classic. But like just finding the joy in it makes it a whole lot more easier to go obtain those goals, right? If your goal is every day to like, I'm gonna have fun or find something fun about this, right? You're on your run and you see something funny, like sweet, I can remember that, right? I mean, that's a little, but like at the same time, like that's me. I love like when I'm like drenched in sweat after a workout, I love myself. Like, yes, I felt good about it, right? I was having fun doing this and that. Like that's fun. Like that's why I still like to work out. That's why I still lift because I'm in there, I'm sweating, I'm moving stuff around, I'm being successful, I'm finding the little things. And then at the same time, you can do things outside of it or with friends that make it even more enjoyable. Right. If you have somebody,
Hmm.
which I know you referenced in some of your posts, a person, I can't recall the name, but a person that you worked out with, right? I bet you it was more fun training with someone or someone being along for the ride than not. Same thing as a coach, right? If you don't like your coach, practices are not going to be fun, right? If your coach, you can kid around with your coach and be buddy buddy, talk to him about life and stuff, like that makes the sport more fun. And I bring on so many track people, like running does suck, but like finding the fun, and that's a really cool from putting the fun part into a goal. You know what I'm saying? I never really put
Hmm.
those two things together, but if that's your goal, then first you achieve your goal. Your endorphins release, like, oh yeah, I achieved a goal today, like I had fun, and then boom, it just makes you feel better. So I know I went on a little tangent there, but like you just opened my mind, like putting those two things together.
Very, connected. And touching back to kind of more concrete, like competitive goals though, because
Yeah.
I think that's also kind of what you were asking about there.
Yeah, but I love it. Yeah.
Ultimate goal, or I wanted to highlight on that process goal kind of first, just because I feel like that is the more
Yeah.
important, the more vital, the more fundamental piece. But yeah, as I've put everything together, I my goal at this point is, basically to take it as far as I can, as a competitor. I have no idea where my ceiling is. I
That's fun.
could run up against my ceiling and just stop improving at any given time. And, I don't know how fast I can get, but the ultimate goals in my mind are contend for an Olympic medal, um, win a world marathon major. The world marathon major, it's a six race circuit.
Gotcha.
And to win just one of those would be pretty insane. And then also one day challenge the American records in the half and full marathon. Um, all those goals are down the line a little bit because I've got a lot of fitness to gain still before I can even come close to,
Yeah.
approaching those goals. I mean, the difference between a 2:16 marathon and a 2:05 marathon, which is what you have to run to even be anywhere near that conversation to begin with, is, I mean, that's a massive difference. Like,
That's all your
you know,
miles. I mean, what,
that's,
7 minute difference, right? 6 minute, 7 minute difference. But that means you're running a minute faster for 6 or 7 more miles. Like that's bonkers. Like that's insane. And at your pace, that's four and some change. Like that's, yeah, I totally hear
mhm.
it.
And so, yeah, I want to hit those marks, but also, like I mentioned, that process goal of enjoying it, I want to have a, long, fulfilling running career. It's if I don't enjoy it, if I don't enjoy that process and really like find and gain things that I really love from it, then those goals will be completely meaningless, like
100%. And I love how you put it. That's why you talked about the process goals first. Like if you don't have the process goals, you ain't going to get to your end goal. And I love what you said is wherever it takes me, like I'm going to be happy. I never know when I'm going to run my fastest race. Like that's kind of crazy to think about. I remember looking back and I didn't get my senior year of track. I'm like, dang, that was probably my last fastest 400, like this and that. Like, I thought I had this and that, and that's a whole nother story. But like, that's a really cool mindset is I'm going to keep running. I'm going to try to get better, but I never know. Like at some point I'm going to start going down, believe it or not, it's going to
mhm.
go down. Which is really cool to think about. And obviously, you have like the big time goals, the stuff you can put on a bulletin board, which is awesome. But moving on, the person that you train with, you want to highlight that person, someone like who really helped you throughout this process of becoming an Olympic trial runner.
Yeah, I think the guy you're referring to in my Instagram post, that's Hunter Hicks. He's a Flagstaff local, and the connecting with him was actually a matter of just the most perfect timing in the world because so back in March, my girlfriend and I moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, and we moved in with a roommate, Shannon, that we'd met on a Facebook Marketplace and
Okay.
just seemed like a good fit, worked out. And right around when we got to Flagstaff, Shannon had been hanging out with and starting to date Hunter. And it's funny, she told both of us, that she knew a runner that we should link up with. And both of us, our kind of competitive, runner side kicked in. It was like, okay, is this guy like fast runner or is this someone who's going to do like, is this someone who I can run with or is this guy going to be 5 miles and dead? Like, um, we get there and sure enough, we are like same fitness, same training goals, same training mindset,
Wow.
same long-term competitive goals, like like very not identical, but like very similar as athletes and um really similar philosophies on a lot of our running. And yeah, we started running together a whole bunch. We were mainly doing workouts and long runs together, and kind of doing our own thing on easy days. But uh yeah, he was a fantastic training partner.
That's awesome.
I don't even know why I say was, though. It still is. Like we're still training partners. Yeah, no, he died.
he's,
But
he's no
he,
longer.
he's gone. He's gone. He's the path. No. But no, he's awesome guy and has been awesome to train with. I've learned a ton from him. He trained for a long time with the NAU team in Flagstaff, and
Okay.
they're like the premier distance program in the NCAA. They've won
Gotcha.
6 of the last 7 D1 cross country titles.
Wow.
Um, And so he's trained with them a lot, and he had, picked up a lot of their knowledge that, I started learning from him. And then combining that with where I've learned, other running knowledge and, uh, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, uh, yeah, he and I, we've both learned a lot off of each other this training block. And, um, unfortunately, his race on Saturday did not go as well. He did not have his day, but, in true class act, high level athlete fashion, I talked to him after my race, and he's not going to let it, affect him. He's disappointed with it, but he's going to take it for what it's worth, move on to the next, go back to training. It's, the, and that's, I mean, for me too, though, you can look at, the comparison. I had a good race, he had a bad race, but both of us, outcome is the same. The job is not done. Our goals are like, yeah, that was a goal that I realized, but neither of us have realized
You
our
both had
real like
different
big
outcomes, but
goals
guess
yet.
what? You're still aiming for that goal. Like, hey, I'm gonna go get better. He said, I'm gonna go get better.
Yeah.
Like you're striving. He's gonna, on race day and like he's gonna train and like have that to fuel him. And then your fuel is like, no, I can do more. Like I went and did it.
Mhm.
Let's go do it again. So you both have this kind of same fuel. And the really cool thing is, I always tell people like, if you ever want to train, if you ever want to get fit, if you ever want to lose weight, find a buddy. That is the secret. That is a secret formula. Because like when I did, I worked out with a buddy in the mornings. Like no one likes waking up 5 a.m. Right. But we did. We'd go in there, hoot and holler, we're lifting together. And like we went every day. And like I felt dependent on him. I'd wake up, my wife would be like, you're going again. I'm like, I got to. He's gonna be there. Like I can't leave him hanging. And just like that
Yep.
internally for me, I couldn't do it. And like same for you is I gotta get out. I gotta go, I gotta give my best because I know he's gonna give his best. And I'm so happy that you found that person through Facebook Marketplace. And I'm talking to this dude. Like, what a story of like how a friendship arrives. That's really cool. And I mean, probably helped you in the long run. No pun intended.
And yeah, no, we've been, pushing each other like really hard. And it's also funny, everybody has their good days and bad days. Whenever with he and I, whenever one of us like trash talks the other one, the next day, the one who trash talked gets dropped on the workout. Every single time. I think we are 4-3 on dropping each other workouts. I've got one in favor, but
That means the next one.
you know, exactly. Well, that's the thing. There were quite a few times where we just like trash talked each other, like, yeah, you suck, or I'm gonna beat your ass, like just, competitive bro
Yeah.
things. And sure enough, next day, get dropped every time. Like,
It's one of those
and it
things
would
like
be back and
athletes,
forth
like
too. It's like,
it's one of those things where you talk to athletes and like you chirp at them, you poke the bear, and then they go off. You see with the
mhm,
really big professionals, like the LeBron James, the this and that, like in NFL, like, oh, you're talking trash to me. Guess what's gonna happen? And they go off and do stellar things. And like runners can have that too. Like, oh, you gonna talk trash? Hey, talk your trash. You beat me today, but guess what? That next time we have our workout, I'm coming for it. And like those little fuels as well. But guess what? That's what makes it fun. Like healthy
mhm,
competition. Me, I'm competitive as can be. I'm playing my little sister shoots the ladders. I tell my friends all the time, I'm gonna try to beat her. And sometimes she beats me. I'm
mhm,
like, all right, good game, shake the hand. But like that's the competitiveness, and that's what can also make it fun. If you have someone that's
mhm,
good, good sport about it, right? If you have someone's like, always hating, like you're not gonna train with that person. But like, if you can have that friendly banter, you can go so far.
mhm. Yeah.
No, this is
Which there
great.
was
Oh yeah, keep on
there
going.
were a couple of workouts too where he and I like one of us was just having an off day too and like thinking like, oh man, I think I'm gonna throw in the towel early on this one, protect the legs. And then the other one, there were like, those days we kind of knew that the other person was like just they were mentally out of it, but not physically. And we said like, hey, come on, like get after it, let's do this. And um yeah, that happened like I think 2 or 3 times this training cycle for each of us, like, going both ways. And, those days, like I'm sure you learned as an athlete, those days where things just aren't clicking right and you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, you get it done, you get in the quality work, like those are the days that really, make you a good athlete. Like that's
100%. It can't be done without those people. You know how easy it is for me to skip doing abs or to skip the last set when I'm all alone? You look around, you're like, hey, there ain't no coach watching me. I'm out. Like that's so easy. But when you have someone there, it's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then it goes all the way back to it. right? Of what you said, the process goals, having fun, right? All right, I know I'm gonna have fun. All right, I'm gonna finish it. It's gonna suck, but I know after we can joke around about it, do this and that, and I mean, it's like a whole circle, which is
Hmm.
totally awesome. I totally agree with that. You know, it's like
Which
that
I crack up
mindset.
though because I crack up because you mentioned skipping abs as an example, and dude, I need to be so much more diligent because guess how many times I've done core between my Houston Marathon debut and my grandma's marathon Olympic trials qualifier. Guess how many times I've done core?
See, I feel like this is a trick question. I feel like it's like twice, but like at the same time, I feel like you probably do it like 4 or 5 times a week.
Once.
You're gonna tell all those like track coaches and cross country coaches like, why are we doing abs? This guy's over here PR'd in the marathon. Like, I don't need it. That's hilarious. I
No,
love
that's the thing. I probably would have done better if my core was stronger.
so there it is. So you're gonna start working on that
So
core.
yeah.
And I'm terrible at it too. I mean, everyone is. It's like the easiest stuff too. Like abs really isn't that hard, but it's just like, I don't want to waste,
Time consuming too. You can do like a 5 minute ab circuit, do it like 3 or 4 times a week, and that's it. It's like 20 minutes out of your week. I
I
mean,
know,
I'm out
right?
there running 15 hours a week, and I can't do even 5 minutes of core on a single
That
day.
extra five
Like,
minutes, and that's the point though. It's like, oh man, I got one more mile and I'm done. And then you're like, dang, I gotta do abs. Nah, I don't want to do abs. Like I'm gonna go in, just did the hard work. Um, but we are gonna move on. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the Cornell because obviously we gotta highlight that. And you had a very, very successful, career there, which kind of maybe inspired it. So maybe some things we could pop up about there. But we are going to be talking a little bit about the Cornell Rams. I also former guest on the show, Jerry Frawley. He was actually came on. We talked. That was I think season 2 he was on. So it's awesome, to reconnect every time when I see him. But let's talk about it. I probably got these stats wrong. All right. The stat guy needs to be fired here at the Mickey's Zizzy podcast, which is myself. But you are a 2-time individual cross country Midwest Conference champion, a 2-time team Midwest Conference cross country champion, an 8-time track conference champion, a 2-time track performer of the year. Oh my, I think there's more, but that's around like 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 some possible medals you could have earned. How does that all feel and how'd you do it? Oh my goodness.
yeah. So, um, what was interesting with the conference was that it wasn't the programs in the conference, it wasn't as distance heavy a conference as the American Rivers Conference, for example, which has like 5 different like nationally ranked cross country programs all, in one place. Um, so some of them, uh, were like, I don't know, bigger, uh, accomplishments than others. But I mean, my Cornell career it was a bit hit or miss for me because yeah, I, had a lot of success within the conference, but um, I didn't take down any Cornell school records individually. I was on the record breaking DMR team.
Yep.
Um, but uh, which that one honestly was kind of bittersweet because everyone else on the DMR team ran a great split, and I was sick as a dog that week and ran absolutely horrible. And we still managed to take down the record by what, like 2 seconds or something. That was,
I think it was more than that. I was actually
or no,
I think it
yeah,
was
it
like
was like
7.
10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 or
It
7. Like
was
I know it was by a
about
lot.
10. Yeah. Um, but I didn't qualify for any national meets. And that was really disappointing. I had big goals coming in. I always, saw myself as being a, possible contender for the national title, even All-American spots, and it just never shaped up. I never really had a good track season, for one reason or another. Seasons kept just falling apart. And my last 2 seasons, so my senior season and then my fifth year season in cross country, um, both times I was one man out of individual qualifying in cross country,
Oh my.
and by a tiny margin too, by like a second or less.
If you
And
would have been next to that dude, you probably would have kicked him. Man, that's tough. That's crazy.
well, dude, that's fine. The first time I was having like a kind of just a good but not great race at regionals. And this one guy, one of my like regional rivals who had not beaten me in any race in like over 2 years, I think, dude had like a 30 plus second personal record on race day to take it. And I couldn't even be mad at that point. I'm like, he
Yeah.
pushed me up by a half a second, got me in the last 400, and I like he got ahead of me at 400 to go. And in the last 200, I was actually like coming back up on him. And then my legs just gave out with like 10 meters to go in the race. And the dude beat me by half a second. And like I said, I couldn't even be mad. He ran the race of his life to do it. I'm just like, you know what, dude? Good on you. The guy who fights the hardest on the day of is the one who deserves it the most. So, that was not me that day. Um, after my race at the Grandma's Marathon, the D3 Glory Days,
Yeah,
the
I was about to bring
cross
that
country
up.
and track
Yeah.
post, they posted Aaron Davidson never broke 15 in the 5K in college. Today he ran an OTQ in the marathon. I'm like, man,
Isn't that crazy
it's
though?
funny, like it's cool, but it's also like, damn, I really never did officially break that. I did break 15 in a workout
Okay.
at one point. So like all those PRs were very outdated, but I'm just like,
But
man,
that's
I
the
really
crazy
like,
thing. Like we're talking about like the Olympics, like you're gonna be running some of the top dudes, top marathoners ever in the United States right now. And
mhm,
go from you're running at Cornell College, where yes, you had a ton of success in the Midwest Conference, which it is very sprinter oriented. I'm just saying that because I was a sprinter.
mhm.
Um, but like you were successful, but not at the national level, and now you're out here doing fantastic things. That's just because you wanted to work harder, right? Yeah, the medals are all nice. It is. That's what you work for. I mean, Cornell's distance medley is, we own the Midwest Conference and the distance medley relay. Like for the past so many years, that's how I won my conference titles. It was because of that race, because of the Mason Wickers of the world, of the distance crew, because that is a distance race in college. People who don't know, see if I get it right. It's what 12? No, 12, 4, 8, 16, or is it eight? The 8 and 12 might be switched up, but obviously it is really
No,
up to
that's
the
the right
mile
order.
and the 1200 guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the 400 really don't matter. I passed two people when I ran it. It's like that was exciting. Like, oh, I did something, but it really comes down to the last crew. But like why I'm talking about
I
that
don't
is
know. I would say the 800 guy is probably the most
really
critical in there, just because I think as far as like just from a racing like competition standpoint, I think that's where like the most can happen.
wow. I guess
Because
you're
I
kind of
mean, the
right.
year that my sophomore year when I anchored the DMR to third place in the conference, which
That was my sophomore year.
I
The
still feel
indoor.
bad of. Yeah, I still feel terrible about that, man. I broke our what 3 year streak, like, um,
But you got it back.
but no, we were in like last or second to last, coming off of the 400 leg, um, because which the 400 guy, I think it was Eli that year. He ran a great leg,
I think that's the best. Yeah.
and our 1200 guy ran strong too, but he was super sick for that. He had gotten really sick and he didn't have like the strength to hang in there. Eli kind of held that position. And then Matt freaking Stoll, he took us into second place by the end of the 800 leg. And then I choked it, but
But once again, it just leads up. It's one of the things. It's not my race, but that's the beauty of track and about running. Like you're gonna get another shot. Later on in other meets, and you were still young. You're a sophomore, and obviously, when you're younger, like we all have those crazy things. Like it was my sophomore year, and I was ranked second in the 60. Like I was gonna go contend for a conference title individual event. I was second all time on Cornell. No, yeah, second at the time for like the 6. I'm like, here we go. And then I had like sophomore just never happened. Never got back to it. Injuries aside, but like I totally hear you. Like you have to go through like that sophomore slump or like that, like, man, I choked it away to do good, right? You can't just win, 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 right? Or else you're not going to get to that point. You have to have some kind of failure that does. And I mean, that's just, throughout your Cornell career, it definitely happened. Which one felt the best out of your your Cornell racing days?
uh, individual standpoint was probably the 3K at indoor conference my senior year.
Gotcha.
Um, because that season I basically threw away all indoor goals that season because I just didn't have the best winter training like before the indoor season.
Got you.
And my whole like kind of refigure out goals with Jerry was we're basically scrapping indoor season goals. We're training through every race. We're not resting up for any races.
Wait.
And we are all eggs are in the outdoors basket. We are going for outdoors, and indoor is just about building that fitness base. And it was once I offloaded the pressure of racing well or hitting my goals that I started racing my best. Every meet that season, was doing better and better and better. And when we got to the conference meet, I came in and I'm like, all right, we're gonna have some fun. Um, I won the 5K, and then I had the mile like an hour later, and I got fifth in the mile, and two of the guys that beat me were freshmen on Cornell's team.
Yeah, they got some dudes though now.
And
Like those cats, like I know, I
oh
remember
yeah,
like because I always reach back and I always look back at what Cornell does at tracks. That's what I like doing,
yeah,
and like they got the dudes right now for the
mhm,
800 to like the mile.
yeah. And then next day, DMR, I was like by myself, in the lead when I got the baton, and I ran a freaking awesome leg. I was super proud of it. To secure the win, put us back on top in the DMR. And then fourth race of the weekend, a couple hours later, 3K. Um, One of my conference rivals, Andrew at Grinnell, he had outkicked me in a big tactical 1500 the year before at one point. He comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, Aaron, how's this 3K gonna go?" And I'm like, "Well, man, I'm kind of tired, so I don't want to let it come down to a kick. So I think I'm just gonna go hard from the gun." He's like, "Yeah, okay, sure." And he doesn't believe me. It's my fourth race of the weekend. Of course, he
I
doesn't think
wouldn't.
I'm gonna go hard from the gun. And sure enough, dude, I blazed it from the gun, just gapped to the field by a lot all at once, and just held it. I just ran that solo, and um, I tied my unofficial 3K PR, but I also like in that last kilometer, I slowed down a little bit because I was just kind of, I was getting tired,
Oh
but
yeah,
I felt like I had enough in the tank that if I had like, competition, like if I had somebody up front pushing me,
yeah.
like, if Austin had still been around, I felt like I could have run that last K another like 10 seconds faster. And I came off that like, man, that was awesome. And it's funny, I usually am good about staying on my feet after races, just staying upright. That one, no, I went to the ground, and a couple of people like almost stepped on me, and Brock came up and he just like, because he's a thrower and I'm a twig of a runner, he just like just like whipped me up off the ground with one hand. I'm like, it was hilarious. But that run, the whole like just the before, during, after, like everything about it, that was by far and away had to be my most meaningful um race at Cornell. And then though, I won't go as in depth on it, but from the team side, the cross country, my championship race, my fifth year season, so when I
Yeah,
did the extra
COVID year.
semester,
Yeah.
yeah, we had the previous year lost the conference title by 4 points when we had it in the bag because we showed up with four of our top six running on injuries.
Oh my God.
And this time we came through. It wasn't like our best showing from the team side. We kind of like we were a little all over the place that day, but we went off, we reclaimed our old conference title, got it back, redeemed. And on the men's side, we had seven all conference runners, which pretty sure is two more than we had ever had in one meet. Um, and then Katie on the women's side, she got an all conference medal there, which I believe gave us the kind of Cornell cross country program record for most total all conference athletes in one cross country year,
And like people who don't know, like
ever.
that's really hard to do because Cornell's cross country is what the young kids say is goated. They are the real deal. I mean, they've had, national champs. I think it would have been my freshman year there to, just the conference championship. Like Cornell was known for that. As them and Grinnell that always battle it out. When I was there, then y'all just continued it. And like for you to break that record, which was already a very, very highly program, like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a good one, and I was really proud of the team that day. It was a good day.
And before we get to my last questions here, that's just how special like Cornell is. You talk about like Brock picking you up. I remember one of the core memories I had was like Evan Mills. He ran the steeple, I think it was the steeple, and like he was seated, he was going to get up there, and he finishes, he wins it. And there's a picture of us all like storming him on the track, like he's dead, like ran a PR, and we're all like, yeah, it's like dude just ran, 3K, like whatever. I think steeple's 3K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dude, I remember that one. That was
yeah, right.
awesome. He just like
He just
gunned
went for
it
it.
with I think he had gotten like one place out of all conference his freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And then sophomore year, 600 to go. Dude just guns
Win.
it, slams. He doesn't close the door. He freaking slams it on everyone and just killed it. That was an awesome run.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's
that
the
was
beauty of track, the beauty of running. It is a sport where it's just mano y mano. There's no this or that. If you're the best of the best, like, whatever conference you're in, like it'll show according to the time and how you finish. Like there's nothing else about it, which is why I really do love track and field. Speaking of that, I had the last three questions. I like to typically end these interviews more like lighthearted questions, more fun, like like really make you think type of questions. Before I do that, once again, I thank you. I can't thank you enough. It's super awesome to reconnect, to talk about the track and running and all the things that you've done, which is why we're here talking about you. But how far can you run? Like let's say just one day, Forrest Gump style, I'm gonna run. How long do you think you could run for? Like
um
miles or hours, however you want to anticipate that question.
well, clarifying question on it. Do I
Okay.
have to do it completely solo unassisted or can I have like someone biking
Oh,
handing me my
bike,
water
yeah, bike
bottle and
with you, yeah,
gels and stuff? Okay.
bike with you. Like
All
how
right. So
long?
yeah, with fueling in a day, I mean, ultra runners pretty routinely run sub 24-hour 100 milers. So I know I could definitely make 100.
100 miles.
A 24-hour, I mean, let's say a 24-hour race. I think I could run somewhere in the 140 to 150 mile range. Um,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
physically at least. Mentally, I don't think I could do that. The people who actually do those kind of runs are just
They're
they're
they're a different type of insane.
I
I
mean,
had
you call my type of running crazy. These guys are just actual psychopaths. Like
they're just wired different. They don't know.
yeah,
No, they don't know
they're not
pace.
human. Like,
Another good way to put it.
that's,
So 140 with with fuel, with here and there with people around you, Forrest Gump style. That's crazy. I don't know how long. I mean, if I dug deep, maybe and go at a really slow pace, but I don't even want to. I don't even want. I wouldn't touch triple digits, which is awesome to hear that you would. Next, so if you were not a runner, right? What would you do? What would be like the next sport that you
um,
would have done?
next sport I would do is probably swimming.
Oh,
I never swam competitively, but I did some swimming like for, cross training for running and I had a lot of fun with it. It's very enjoyable to me. It's like it's tough at first, but then once you get into your rhythm, you get your breathing rhythm locked in and you're just going by muscle memory, not even thinking. It gets really fun. Um
swimming.
I dig it a lot. Matter of fact, if I didn't hate biking, I would potentially be a triathlete because I like running and swimming so much. But it's funny. I will bike like for transportation, get from point A to point
Yeah.
B. And on an indoor stationary bike where I can just like, watch a movie or listen to some tunes or something, yeah, I'll get a workout in on that. But actually going out and biking a route for exercise, just I hate it so much. I've maybe I would just need to, get fitter and then I would enjoy it more or like have an actual biker like train me, but I hate it. I never liked it at all. And
You talk about triathlons. That's what I've kind of wanted to do, was maybe do like an Ironman. I know they're super, super hard. And obviously I would train for
mhm,
it like no other. But like my thing was, oh, like I don't have a pool. Well, the school I work at has a pool. I'm like, oh man, I can't use that excuse. I'm like, oh, I don't have a bike. Darn. And now I'm like, dang, now I got a bike. So like now that's kind of always in the back of my mind. Like, do I go for it? So it's funny that you brought that up. Because I do like it. I mean, it's
mhm,
fun, but all that is all mental. Like that is just about finishing the darn thing because of how many miles
yeah.
to bike and run and all this and that. Um, Speaking of running like long distance, what do you listen to? Do you listen to stuff? Like do you put on podcasts? Do you throw on music? Do you listen to the birds chirping?
Mainly just on if I'm running on the treadmill, will I listen to
Okay.
music or podcasts? A podcast I really love, the Coffee Club. It's hosted by a couple of guys who run for the On Athletics Club, and um, they're some of the premier mid distance
Gotcha.
like track runners in the world right now. Their club is absolutely incredible. Their club alone put three guys under 3 minutes and 30 seconds for the 1500 last weekend.
Under three, you said 3:30?
Yeah, for the 1500. That's
That's
two of
insane.
them broke national records too.
All
It's like
right.
American.
Coffee
The
club.
American national record went down to this dude who just graduated college last year.
That's bonkers. Wow. That's
And but yeah, their podcast, The Coffee Club, I love listening to that on running. They break stuff down a lot. Once in a while for outdoor runs, I'm just kind of feeling like listening to something and I'll just carry my phone and have my AirPods with me and it'll be same thing between music and a podcast. You know,
the
I
coffee club.
keep it basic.
I
No,
gotta
no
have
real
you.
particular music genre. It's just kind of whatever I'm feeling that day.
Yeah, I'm with you on the music genre. I could be listening to slow country. I could be listening to rock and roll. I could be listening to pop. Like
Mhm.
but I always have to have something. Like I don't know. That's just me. Like if I can just not focus on my hurting self. Um, no, that's awesome. And my last question. I said last question like three of them ago, but it's awesome to get to know you. You know, the people who are listening get to know you a little bit more. But you're a runner. But in the sport of
Mhm.
track and field, there is the field portion. So, Aaron, if you were the absolute GOAT, what field event would you want to be the best at? Like, I am the dude, the dog in blank. What field event would it be?
That is a tough call, but back before I specialized in distance running, back in middle school, I had a half decent long jump mark.
Okay.
So I think I did like 16 feet in seventh grade or something
That's
like that. I
impressive.
don't really remember marks from back then. I think it would have gotten like fourth in the county or something, but I didn't actually like compete in middle school at all. At least not in track. But yeah, so I'd probably go with long jump because
Long
I had once upon a time I had some semblance of talent at that event and thought it was kind of cool. And also, I've gotten kind of into following jumps recently. I don't know if you've seen, there's this like 18-year-old, I think he's Jamaican, goes to Arkansas, I believe. Dude just took down the under 20 world records and like the long jump and triple jump, won an
Wow.
NCAA title. I don't remember which jump he won. I think it was the triple jump, but the dude is an absolute monster. If he keeps on the same trajectory he's on, he is going to like redefine what jumps look like
That's
in the
awesome.
world. And so, yeah,
No, that's
long
sweet.
jump and then triple jump because long jumpers and triple jumpers can
All right.
have a lot of
Yeah.
overlap.
100%. No, that's I actually coach long jump for the school that I'm at, Williamsburg, and I love it. It's really cool, and they don't have triple jump in Iowa, so obviously those other
Mhm.
schools that do have it, it's different. I can never do it. I'm first off my knees, but super cool. And like I'm gonna answer the question too, because like the more I thought about it, like when you were thinking about it, I was thinking about it, but like nothing like it's a tie because you gotta have like a throwing event and a jumping event. High jump, dude,
Mhm.
and I'm short, but like when they start like clapping their hands and then they get over that bar and then like freak out on the mat, like that's iconic. Like I think that would
Mhm.
be sweet, just dude who can jump high. But then like shot put, like just big dudes, just throwing stuff far and like freaking out, like that'd be pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Like if you're just the dude who threw stuff far, like that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Long jump
Ryan
for you.
Krauser, he is an awesome dude to
Um,
watch. A friend of mine was a spectator at the Olympic trials 2 years ago. And Ryan Krauser, if I remember correctly, I think he broke his own world record there. Um,
Crazy.
and apparently, so my guy was in a bar that night, a bunch of track fans all hanging
Yeah,
out. Ryan Krauser walks in, and apparently the entire bar just freaks out.
that's
Everybody's
awesome.
screaming. And he just wanted to sit there and have a drink, but
He's
apparently he
like,
was
yeah, I just wanted to hang out, but sweet.
apparently he was super gracious, was like really like kind to fans, like didn't turn anyone down for a picture or autograph. Like yeah, he just wanted to chill out and have a drink, but he's
Yeah.
like, hey, screw it, I'm here, y'all are here, like that's,
Why not, right? No,
yeah.
that's awesome. I think it was Krauser, but he was at Drake Relays, which you know about, and he
Hmm.
did seem like a nice guy. I always wanted, and that's awesome. When you have those celebrities that just like actually sit down with you and like say hello, let you take pictures, like you're making that dude's day. Like I know it's can be really repetitive at times for some celebrities, um,
Hmm.
but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But once again, y'all, when is the next event for you? I guess I should put that out there.
Um, so I've got next marathon on the schedule will be first week of October. It's going to
Okay.
be the Twin Cities Marathon.
In Minnesota.
So straight back to Minnesota. I want to go somewhere new, but that one just works out on the schedule the best.
So what's next? Like, what do you have to do next to, what I'm saying? Like, when is the qualifying event? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, so I'm qualified for the trials, which is in February.
Okay, so that's
Um,
in February.
yeah, and that is in Orlando, and which not a great spot weather wise for a marathon, but whatever. We'll
You'll
we'll take
persevere.
it one thing at a
How many
time.
did they
But
take for the Olympics? What do you have to get?
three.
Three, top three?
Yep,
Gotcha. Well, y'all heard
top
it.
three.
He's gonna go to Minnesota. If you're in Minnesota, go be looking around for the Twin City Marathon. Keep on go to the socials. I know he posts a lot on there. Also, be in February. I'll be looking out for Orlando. You're gonna go and crush it. Thank you so much for coming on the Mickey Zizzy podcast. We're trying to highlight those who need to be highlighted, like my guy Aaron over here, who is gonna be competing for a spot to be on the Olympic team. I mean, that's electric in itself. If you have any, I know he'd be willing to share any advice. He shared a little bit of advice with me when I was training a little bit for my half, but great dude here to the side, hard worker. Hard work does pay off, and he's the prime example of it. Anything else before we sign off?
No, man, just thanks so much for having me on here. This has been really cool. I haven't really been interviewed on a podcast like this before.
Boom! First one.
I've
Come
been,
on.
yeah.
So
I
I'll
mean,
be the
I've
first.
done like one or two, but they were much more like low key, like kind of you know, I guess novice podcaster, like they didn't have their whole like thing together, like they didn't have their whole like
Wow, you
script
heard
and
it here
system
first. He
set up
thinks
and
we are
stuff.
not a novice podcast. I love it. No, that's funny. But yeah, anytime you're always welcome here. You are now a recurring guest. So you kind of have like a free pass. Yeah, let's talk about some tracks and let's talk about some running. But that is it. Once again, go check him out. Go check out anything running. He's always willing to help out. Aaron Davidson, thank you so much. Everyone else, peace.
Cool.